It's April 24th, JLD here, and welcome to MSTR Today. In this show, we're going to talk about how Michael Saylor wants everybody to know that the first 100 billion is the hardest. We'll also be talking about strategies, two main drivers, MSTR versus the NASDAQ. You're going to want to see this chart. Also, XXI enters the building. That is 21, which I think you probably know what the 21 stands for. Very exciting times, a lot of great collaborations going on. I have three amazing video clips from Michael Saylor himself. You're not going to want to miss. This video is not financial advice. Please do comment below. Just comment for support. Let me know where you're watching from, any questions you might have. Thank you in advance for your comments, for your likes, for your shares, and let's dive on in. Okay, today's first post is from Michael Saylor himself, who wants us to know that the first 100 billion is the hardest. This is in reference to some news that's come out from the Cantor camp, from Jack Mallers, from the 21 group, from the XXI crew. Again, it's good for everybody. We're going to be talking more about that in a little bit. And Adam Livingston wants us to know that the first trillion will happen at warp speed. Godspeed, Michael. So the first billion is the hardest. The first trillion will happen at warp speed. Let's go. Chris says the two key drivers of Strategy's long-term value creation feed each other. One, the more Bitcoin Strategy acquires, the more cash flows it can generate by leveraging its holdings. And two, the more cash flow Strategy generates by leveraging its holdings, the more Bitcoin it can acquire. And this is how the long-term value creation feeds off of each other. And you can see the two drivers of Strategy's business model. One is maximizing the Bitcoin holdings. Of course, that's in the orange. And then two is maximizing the cash flows. And they just feed off of each other all the way through to infinity. The beautiful flywheel. Thank you, Chris. Jeff says, the bullish case for MSTR, Bitcoin has no lid. Nothing stops this train. And then he shares below, massive asymmetric information right now for Bitcoiners and MSTR hodlers. Keep in mind, many of those not on X have no idea what's going on or what's on the horizon. But you know, and I know. Chris wants us to check out a matrix of what Strategy's market cap will be based on three primary assumptions. That's one, the price of Bitcoin, two, the total Bitcoin holdings, and three, the NAV multiple. And the cells filled in pastel red, orange, and green roughly represent his bear, base, and bull cases respectively. So I'll have this entire chart in the show notes below, but you want to check out, this is, at 1 million per Bitcoin, 5 million per Bitcoin, and 10 million per Bitcoin. Of course, we're getting there. It's just a matter of when. And then this is what Strategy's Bitcoin holdings will be at that time. And then based off the NAV. So you're going to want to take a little bit to look at this. In fact, somebody did ask, what would the share price be in these scenarios? And Chris says, I'll have something posted. So he's going to have a follow-up to this chart. But I mean, this is pretty interesting to just kind of study Strategy's market cap estimates. Because if you know what their market cap is, you know approximately what the stock price is going to be because it's just a multiple. So here we go with Strategy Archive. He says, since the start of 2025, MSTR, whose balance sheet is on the Bitcoin standard, has rallied 18.4% year to date, whereas the NASDAQ 100, the QQQ proxy of the fiat standard, is down 13.1%. That's a 31.5% divergence of return. As you can see, pretty choppy chart that's kind of been going up and to the right now for the past little bit. And this one, not so much, down and to the right pretty consistently for quite some time now. So we'll see what the future holds. Adam wants us to know that today's news was huge. We've been waiting for the possibility of a huge second player in the Bitcoin treasury space. Remember, before this, we were foaming at the mouth for GameStop to start accumulating. XXI represents real institution capital running to the hardest assets. What's even crazier, we are early. The largest pools of capital are still heavily underallocated in this asset. Saylor has front run everybody, bragged about it to their faces for years, and now we are starting to watch the dominoes fall. And of course, this is talking about XXI, which is Cantor's, Fitzgerald's big push, and some other companies getting into the Bitcoin standard. And there'll be some more information coming out about this in the near term, but just know it's big for Bitcoin, and whatever is big for Bitcoin is big for MSTR. everybody's winning here that's on the Bitcoin standard. Strategy Archive starts talking about this as well, where he says, I keep seeing questions if 21 Capital, which is XXI, can catch up to Saylor/Strategy's Bitcoin Mountain. Here's the kicker. Every extra Bitcoin XXI takes onto their balance sheet, 1, raises their average cost per coin, 2, simultaneously deepens Saylor's fortress of scale. It's a feedback loop. The more XXI spends, the higher the bar for overtaking Strategy becomes. They're simply strengthening the foundation under Saylor. 538,000 Bitcoin is the fortress of Bitcoin that Michael Saylor and Strategy and you and I as MSTR shareholders are sitting upon. Of course, we want XXI to try to take us on. We want them to try to overtake us because guess what? All that's going to do is push up the price of Bitcoin. And guess what? We can all win in these scenarios. We can absolutely all win. But I can tell you who's definitely winning in this scenario. That's MSTR. So now I have 2 great video clips I want to share with you about Michael Saylor, or I should say that feature Michael Saylor. And then I have a great one coming up after that as well. So let's dive on in.
Bitcoin crossing the $70,000 mark for the first time on Friday. This morning, it's now above $72,000. Join us right now to talk Bitcoin is Michael Saylor, MicroStrategy Executive Chairman, and 8K out from the company this morning, revealing it just bought more than $800 million in Bitcoin. As of the end of last month, his company held about 200,000 Bitcoins. And Michael, I want to thank you for joining us. You have been early and courageous, and you continue to double down. I want to talk about where you think Bitcoin is, but also want to talk about how you think about MicroStrategy and your company as a proxy for Bitcoin now that ETFs are available to the public.
Sure. Well, I think I'd start just with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is certainly at least digital gold. It's going to eat gold. It's got all of the great attributes of gold, and it's got none of the defects of gold. If you could teleport gold from New York to Tokyo in a few minutes, people would like it. It's going to divert capital from risk assets and risk ETFs like SPY, and you can see that these ETFs are doing that. It's going to be incorporated into a lot of funds like the BlackRock Global Opportunities Fund or the Strategic Income Opportunities Fund. And so as it's an asset class. As it goes into other funds, it's going to become structural. The halving is going to cut the organic supply of natural sellers in half around April 20th. That means there's only about $32 million a day of natural sellers. And the price of Bitcoin is going to have to adjust up in order to meet that investor demand. So I think that's what's going to happen next to the asset class. Like if you roll the clock back to 2007, Steve Jobs invents the iPhone. And, people thought, oh, it's a toy. By 2009, the iPhone's got an app store. And if you understood anything about software, the iOS is a new operating system, and it's going to be its own ecosystem, at least as important as the web. And it's going to spawn an entire new generation of applications, right? And the mobile wave is responsible for what, like $5 trillion, $5 to 10 trillion of wealth over the next decade. Can you imagine someone sitting around saying, oh, I get mobile device technology, and you're trying to time the market in Apple stock in 2011? Like you're buying and selling Apple stock in 2011. You want to shake. I'm like, are you out of your mind? I'm trading Facebook stock back and forth between $8 a share and $4 a share and $12 a share. And you just want to do this. Like, do you not understand that one day every single person on the planet is going to have one of these things in their pocket, and it's going to go up by a factor of 100? And you're trying to trade Apple stock between $1.25 and $1.17 and bragging about how you bought it at $1.25 and sold it at $2.11. And have you figured out the consequences of being short the share if it goes up by $100? Like the amount, are you out of your mind? Because, by the way, I spent 30 years in the business, and I obsess over this every single freaking minute of the day. And I wrote a book on it, right? I wrote the book. I predicted the future. I made $500 million investing in these things, right? And I started, and I put a small amount of capital in. And let me tell you one thing, John, I can't time the market. I have no freaking clue.
Michael Saylor getting pretty intense. I love it. I love when he gets fired up. And we have another great video of him as soon as we get back from thanking our sponsors. So check it out. I know we're all looking to stack more Bitcoin and MSTR, and to do that, we need more fiat. So let's chat about our sponsor, ShipStation. We all know the market can seem pretty chaotic at times, but if you're in charge of order fulfillment for your business, you already understand chaos. While we might not be able to help calm the chaos in the market, ShipStation is here to help when it comes to shipping and fulfillment. I've used ShipStation to easily automate shipping to customers around the globe. My favorite part about the platform, managing orders in one simple dashboard makes an otherwise massive task feel pretty darn simple. Plus, ShipStation not only integrates with the services and selling channels you already use, it's also the fastest, most affordable way to ship products to your customers. ShipStation hooks you up with discounts up to 88% off UPS, DHL Express, and USPS rates, and up to 90% off FedEx rates. Calm the chaos of order fulfillment with the shipping software that delivers. Switch to ShipStation today. Go to shipstation.com/MSTR to sign up for your free trial, or click the pinned comment below this video. That's shipstation.com/MSTR. And thank you for supporting our sponsors that allow myself and my team to continue to produce these daily videos for you for free. Now back to the show. Online shopping has never been easier, but this ease is new enough that we remember a time when entering all our credit card info every time we purchased something online was the norm. Luckily, we don't have to do that anymore thanks to Shopify. That's right, that purple Shop Pay button that makes it seamless to purchase online is powered by Shopify. And Shopify doesn't just make it easy to buy, it makes it incredibly easy to start a business, no matter your experience. Shopify is the commerce platform behind 10% of all e-commerce in the US, and they make it super easy to get up and running with beautiful, ready-to-go templates and built-in marketing and email tools. Worried about tracking inventory, payments, and analytics? No stress. Shopify helps you manage it all from a single dashboard. And back to that iconic purple Shop Pay button, it's why Shopify has the best converting checkout on the planet. If you want to see less carts being abandoned, it's time for you to head over to Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/MSTR. Go to shopify.com/MSTR, shopify.com/MSTR.
How important is the board buy-in, as you've observed from your experience of also presenting to Microsoft in the past, and the ability to shepherd Bitcoin adoption at the corporate level?
I think the CEO has to conclude that the business, doesn't have a future without a radical new idea. Then the management team has to buy in. So it's really the CEO, the CFO, and the general counsel. Those are the first three. After that, then you need to get the board to buy in. And if you have one holdout member of the board, they can completely stop the process for everybody, unless, again, what kind of person goes to a doctor and gets a prescription for insulin, Jeff? Right? Like, it's kind of, if you think of it like that, then you kind of get the idea. If the company is healthy, like the problem with Microsoft is one of the Magnificent Seven, but they're called Magnificent Seven because they're the seven greatest companies on earth. But Microsoft arguably is like the Magnificent One. If you had to pick one company on earth that is probably the single most powerful company, they sell software. There's no supply chain. They don't have to manufacture anything. They don't have to ship chips. They're even right now in the tariff wars, they're the most insulated of the Magnificent Seven, because ultimately they're pretty much just licensing business process to 100 million companies with a near monopoly. So if there's any company that doesn't have to do anything, it would be Microsoft.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you want the opposite of Microsoft, pick a company that's like a bakery in Ukraine that sourced its products from China, across a war zone. And, you get an example of the opposite extreme. So I think that ultimately the board matters, but I mean, first the business matters. You just have to have a business where they say with paradigm shifts, you know, who embraces a new paradigm? It's the young or those in time of war,
Mhm.
and there's the famous quote, science advances one funeral at a time. So traditionally, new ideas get embraced by the young because they had to wait for the old guard to die. And then certain times, like those that don't believe in the Air Force, their minds are turned when they get firebombed. And then they start to believe that maybe air power does matter.
And there you have it, another episode of MSTR Today. And once again, you are welcome. I purchased not the top yesterday, but definitely above the bottom. I bought a 0.608 share of MSTR, $347. I definitely got up into the 350, so I could have done worse. But again, it's inevitable, my friends. This $211 of me purchasing MSTR every single trading day of 2025 is not going to stop. I'm in the green for the first time in a little while. We'll see how much so come this coming Sunday when I reveal the entire portfolio. But it's all because I surround myself with the right people. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So thank you for making me one of your 5 for this 15-minute time. Excuse me, for this 15-minute time block, to say the least. I make sure I curate my individuals to a very high degree because I want to surround myself with people who understand Bitcoin, who believe in Bitcoin, who understand Michael Saylor and strategy and what the team is doing, because I believe it's inevitable. I believe this is the path that we are on, inevitable with a Bitcoin, capital B. So let's go. And like Michael Saylor loves to say, there is no second best.
What's the second best? There is no second best.